Hey, so it is that time of year again to talk about the year in selling stock footage. It's definitely one of those years that if you look at the raw numbers, it's like, why on earth are you still selling stock footage, or why are you even talking about it? So, I mean, I didn't even hit the $1,000 mark, right? Like, I came up $50 short of that $1,000. That's kind of become my benchmark for what is a solid year in selling stock footage. But I only really, I logged into the back end on Blackbox where I sell my footage, and I logged in maybe 3 times this year. I think I uploaded 8 new clips. My business went through a big overhaul, and this just wasn't a priority. And so stock footage really became passive for me this year. And so what I want to talk about, we're going to look at all the clips that I sold again this year, starting right now. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about where my business is at, how stock footage figures in, what I'm seeing in the market. For sure, one of the biggest things is there's this breakdown now between the subscription sales that come through Blackbox and the individual clip licenses. That subscription sales is becoming a bigger part of the whole pie, which makes sense. Stock footage is pretty quickly, at least in the past few years, it's moved away from you have to pay for every single clip. It's moved over to just bulk footage licensing. Of course, Storyblocks is the biggest culprit behind all of that, but there are a bunch of different services that now you pay one fee per month and you either get a certain allotment of clips or you get an unlimited amount that you can download. And I'm happy to have, especially my older back catalog included in that. I started selling on Storyblocks back in the day, and look, I get it. That's kind of where the market is going. And individual clip sales will always be there for broadcast, for specific licensing, or for those platforms where you get higher quality, or maybe it's raw or it's log footage, whatever else that is. But I'm still seeing my back catalog do pretty well. There are a clip sold this year that I'm pretty sure I shot in 2017 on a borrowed C100 from my university. So, there is still life in older clips. There's still life in some of these random phone clips that have sold this year. Of course, there's some nicer stuff that's selling, some drone aerials that I'm pretty proud of, some stuff that was shot on the C100 and the C200 in 4K in RAW. There's definitely still a market for that higher quality footage. But as somebody who buys stock footage, not every project needs 4K high frame rate footage. Sometimes it's about having the right shot, and if it's in HD, that's totally okay. So, I'm definitely seeing this year for sure, there are clips that are selling more and more over the years, and there are some clips that are not selling at all. And that's kind of helped me dial in a little bit on, in the future, what is it that I should be looking for. But I still don't shoot for stock footage. And I'm sure there are people who, depending on who this reaches, they may show up and they may look at this and they say, dude, why are you making a video about selling $1,000 in a year? That's nothing. That wouldn't even pay your rent for a month. But look, I don't shoot for stock. Stock footage is having made $6,000-$7,000 over the past few years, it's not a huge part of my business, and it's not going to be moving forward. But it's really just, I think about the clips that have sold, and it's wow, I was able to repurpose all this random footage and get a little bit of extra on top, and that's paid for my past 2 or 3 drone upgrades. And this year it'll probably pay for another drone upgrade as I look to grow in that way for my business, not for stock. I think that stock is just such a great add-on on top of an already growing and thriving video production business, whereas I'm just not the best person to go to if stock footage, you want that to be your one thing that you do. I definitely do see an area of growth for myself moving forward, just because of how unique some of the projects are that I do. I've been getting into ultra marathons, endurance sports, high adventure running, and because of how unique some of these places, people that I have access to are, I definitely see an area for growth in possibly going back to a technique that worked really well for me when I was getting started, which is there are some projects that are lower budget, or, there were projects in college that I was giving away, but I was able to get that signed stock footage released from the people involved and able to repurpose those clips. They're still selling to this day. I definitely see that as an area of growth for my business in the next year or so, especially as I continue to shoot some pretty unique content, as I would say. I'll also come back to, I am still selling a fair amount of aerials, and I genuinely think that is the best place if you're I want to start out in stock footage, I have this pile of footage. Start with the aerials, because that's the footage that a lot of projects, you know, if we're moving really fast on a documentary style, a corporate documentary, whatever, like maybe we don't have time to shoot the aerials, or we're there for one day and it's raining or it's grayed out and it's just like ugly outside. So that's generally what I see myself coming back to first as an editor and as a producer of like, okay, we need to go license aerials. And also I feel like aerials are the easiest to, you know, especially in the way that you shoot and the way that you just like lightly color correct, they can be bent to fit into a lot of different projects. Whereas when it comes to footage that you shoot with your standard, I was about to say HDSLR, like it's 2013. No, your standard mirrorless camera, maybe your low-end cinema camera, even that footage, like it's very easy to quickly stylize that footage in a way that like maybe now it won't work for a lot of projects. But all that to say, a well-shot establishing shot of a city skyline, something like that, very easy to fit into a bunch of different projects. And you know, the last thing I will say here is that like I wouldn't let what cameras you've been shooting on be the barrier to you selling stock footage. Because again, I'm selling C100 footage, I'm selling iPhone 8 Plus footage. Your iPhone 13, 14, whatever is so much higher quality than that. Your A7S Mark III is so much higher quality than a C100. You know, just of course, you have to be exposing correctly. You have to get the fundamentals right, but I wouldn't let the camera that you're shooting on necessarily be a barrier, because yes, there are gonna be amazing cinematographers shooting 8K raw helicopter aerials. And yeah, they're gonna sell those clips for a premium price to premium clients. But if you have access to something unique, or if you just have access to unique characters that you can get signed stock footage releases from, it's gonna matter a lot less what it is that you're shooting on, and it's gonna matter a lot more what it is that you are shooting. So there you have it. That is my wrap up for 2023 selling stock footage. Looking ahead to 2024, I'm definitely going to try and upload just a little bit more, get a few new clips onto the stock selling sites. Only the best though. I'm gonna try and prioritize how much time it is that I'm spending on editing, uploading, keywording, all that kind of stuff. Only onto the best footage, the footage that can hopefully live and sell for a number of years to come.
All right, Drew, do your magic.